Everybody, and welcome back to Book Club. Today we are going to be doing a review of the novel Size 12 and Ready to Rock. Ooh, where'd I just go? I don't know where I went. Oh, okay. It is by Cabot and it looks like this. This is on Goodreads. It says it's 361 pages long, and it was a really quick, easy read, and I quite enjoyed it. So the main character's name is Heather Wells. She is an ex-pop star who is kind of like a Hannah Montana or Hilary Duff, and her mom ran away with all of her money, so now she is working at New York College or New York University as a residence hall assistant director. And in the previous novels, you find out that there were a couple of deaths, so the hall is now referred to as Death Dorm, which is not a good thing when you're going to university and you're staying in a dorm known as a Death Dorm. Yeah. So in the previous novels, you learn about a whole bunch of characters who are currently in this novel, some of them being her current fiancé, who they got engaged, I believe, in between the last novel and this one. You know how there's kind of like you can't really get engaged in between the last couple of novels, but Meg Cabot decided that they were engaged in this one, and his name is Cooper Cartwright. He is the brother to her ex-boyfriend, Jordan Cartwright, and as it turns out, their father is Grant Cartwright, who owns the record company that she used to be a part of. Yes. Cooper is a private investigator, and Jordan is a pop star in like a NSYNC Backstreet Boys kind of band, and he's still pretty famous. The reason why they broke up is because he cheated on her with a girl named, I think it's pronounced Tania, but every time I would read it, I would read Tiana, like tiara, but with an N instead of an R. So I'm just gonna, for the namesake, I'm just gonna call her Tiana throughout this video. So, this novel, those are like the main characters, the only ones that you're really going to need to know. Some other little characters that you might need to know, or like little subplots that they're not really a big part of the book, but they are big enough that you should know about them. The dorm is getting a new director, and it's a girl who's exactly like Heather, and she's really nice. I like that character. I'd love to read like another story maybe on her side of things, or I don't know, I would like to read more about her. There is also not really a character, more like a subplot, and a couple of other characters that go along with it, but they're not important. Cartwright Records has decided to branch out and start their own cable series, or cable network, and one of the big shows that they're starting is a reality show based on Jordan and Tiana's life called Jordan Loves Tiana, I believe. I think that's what it's called. And so now cameras follow them around everywhere, and Tiana is doing a rock camp for the summer with 50 young girls who had auditioned and are now going to be filmed for the reality show. Yay! Trouble starts when Tiana's bodyguard Bear got shot outside of one of the popular clubs, the club is owned by the son of the director of the university, Chris Allington, I believe that's his name, and they were all together when that happened, and Bear's in the hospital and he can't really be a bodyguard for Tiana anymore. And as part of this, they're filming up in the top floor of the building, the residence hall Death Dorm, and this is where the problem starts, and they find out that there's drama going on, and Cooper's there too, and he sees his brother for the first time in a long time, so there's kind of brother drama. It's interesting. So later on, you find out that Tiana decided to move her rock camp from some camp base in I don't even know what they called it. I can't remember. It's like Star something or Station. I don't know. They moved it from there to Death Dorm, hoping to bring positive feedback into the Death Dorm bad publicity, and so they move it there, which is awesome. It's summer break, so all the students are gone, except for a few who have free room and board, and they help out in like the front offices, so they're there. New residence hall director helps, and everything's going smoothly until one of the assistant film producer people eats one of the cupcakes that was sent for Tiana, and turns out that there was rat poison in it, and he died, which is unfortunate, but it would have been worse if the cupcakes had been eaten by Tiana, who, by the way, I don't think I mentioned it, she's pregnant with Jordan's baby, and they're married now, and so all's good in her life, except for the fact that her bodyguard was shot and now this guy died, and she was supposed to eat those cupcakes. Which is, if you're famous and you're probably not watching this, I would suggest you not eat food that fans send you. It's probably a good thing not to. Yeah. So she gets kind of freaked out by that, and you find out that Heather and her start this little relationship, and she opens up to Heather saying that she knows exactly who the person is who is trying to like threaten her and who shot Bear and who sent the cupcakes, the poison cupcakes. And as it turns out, it's her ex-husband who knew that she was married. And later on you find out that she wasn't even divorced from this guy. They're technically still married. So Jordan and her relationship is not technically legal. She's still married to this guy who turns out to be 40 years old and her old high school choir teacher. Weird. He also used to be her manager, and he was the one who kind of like brought them to New York City and kind of started her career, but he had all these contacts, but really he didn't. And so Tiana went out and got her own contacts and started making money, and then he started getting really abusive, and you find all this out through a story, through Heather's eyes, and she's telling Cooper the story. Meanwhile, she's hearing it from Tiana. I like the way that she kind of told Cooper, and he helped solve it too by getting one of their detective friends in there. And you find out that the guy, the ex-husband, actually is in New York City, and not only is he just in New York City, he's actually staying in one of the residences, not Death Dorm, but one of the other ones, taking summer courses for like music. And he gets one of the little girls involved in the rock camp to pretend and think that he is this big music phenomenon, and he's going to help her with her voice for the big showcase at the very end of the rock camp, which is kind of like a Camp Rock Final Star or whatever it's called, kind of like that. And so they find him, they eventually arrest him, or actually they can't even arrest him because he's shot at the very end by Cooper, which is awesome. So he's dead. He dies. Tiana is then safe, and like, I mean, the conflict between them went on for, I think, too long, but it was enough to learn that other things came to a close in the time that it took for the guy to A, find out that it was the ex-husband, and B, from him to go from the shooting to the very end he's backstage at the final star type performance, and he almost kills Heather by shooting her in the head, but he doesn't because Cooper gets him first. So good for Cooper. The final thing I'm going to talk about is, sorry. Actually, it's not really the final thing. The last thing I do want to talk about, I will get to that in just a minute, but Heather and Cooper decided not to tell Jordan that they were getting engaged because Jordan and Heather used to date and he might think it's weird. But during the heat of the moment, when Jordan finds out that the guy, the ex-husband, actually tried to contact Jordan right before they got married saying, "I demand $10,000 or blah, blah, blah," he finds out that he actually knew about it and didn't do anything. He's kind of freaking out, and he supports Tiana in the end, and she didn't tell him because she thought that he would leave her. But he doesn't. He does the manly thing, and he stays with her. And also in like the heat of the moment, Cooper tells him that Heather and Cooper are engaged, and he doesn't freak out. He's actually very supportive. So good for Jordan too for being manly enough to admit that he made a mistake and that he needs to be supportive of others too. Now is the last thing that I want to talk about. The very ending of the novel, which I thought was brilliantly written, like the ending part, and I think it closed off a lot of different doors that could have been left open. And if there's a fifth novel, which I don't think there's going to be a fifth novel, I think this was a perfect ending to the series, and then I don't think that there needs to be another book. So as you know, Heather and Cooper are engaged, like I said, maybe 10 times, and Heather's been looking at this ring in this window of a store for a long time, and when Cooper calls the office one day and she's not there, her one friend tells him about the ring, and so he goes and he finds out that it's fake costume jewelry, and he gets one of his diamond buddies to actually make like a real ring with like real diamonds, like a real sapphire, and he gives it to her. And the last thing, I thought that was so romantic. I got like little butterflies in my stomach, and I felt really good. And then the last thing, like the last important note is Heather was told by her gynecologist, which I think it's a gynecologist, I've never been, but she's told that she can't, or it's going to be really hard for her to conceive if they want to have a child. And she's kind of scared to tell Cooper, but when she does tell him, he's supportive, and he says, you know what, I don't think we want kids. I mean, you're always at work surrounded by kids every day. It's like we're parenting them anyways. So that's good. Everything's taken care of. This was a great novel, so if you are interested, definitely check it out because it was really good. I do recommend that you read it. If you're not into like romances, then it's probably not up your alley, but I really enjoyed it. Again, if you're not interested in like romances, next week's book, which I'm going to introduce in just one second, it's supposed to be more of a action, or not action, but like I'm not even sure if it's a vampire novel, but it's definitely interesting. It is called The Devouring by Simon Holt. It looks like this. I got it from the library, and it'll be on my Goodreads saying it's my currently reading. I'm like 9 pages in. So far it's pretty good. Yeah, I also have the next 2 books with me here. The second one is called Solstice. Looks like that. I really like the covers. That's what really attracted me to it. And the siding, because that's what I see when I go to like the library. That's what I see, and that's kind of how I judge a book, by like its siding and how cool. Like, I mean, look at the sidings of these books. They're pretty awesome. And then book 3 is called Fearscape, and it looks like that. So I'm super excited to read these books. I really enjoyed Size 12 and Ready to Rock. Please check it out if you're interested, and if you're not, well then stay tuned for next week for The Devouring by Simon Holt. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye.